Good morning, everyone. So today we will be discussing the backpropagation algorithm. Actually, we have started backpropagation algorithm yesterday, and we have seen some of the prerequisites for understanding backpropagation algorithm. Right. So if you remember, yesterday we have discussed a very important point, like what is a linear function and non-linear function, and what is the importance of non-linearity. Right, so we know very well that we want a non-linear output because most of the real-time applications which we are going to deal with, neural networks, most of them, they produce non-linear output only, right? Except linear regression, except regression concepts, right? In all remaining places you can apply non-linearity. So what we need is our perceptron, which was generating a linear output, means linearly separable, right? So our perceptrons are capable of generating a linear output. Output function is a linear function, right? So irrespective of the number of layers you have in your perceptron model or in your neural network, if they are producing linear outputs, then irrespective of number of layers, the final output will be always a linear output. Then whether you have 10 layers or one layer, it doesn't matter, right? That's the reason, friends. So what we need is we need to introduce non-linearity in the output. So that we have seen yesterday, what is how a linear functions output will look, what is non-linearity, right? Those basics we have seen yesterday. Now let us look into back propagation algorithm, and the neural network which we have seen yesterday is called as feed forward neural network. Feed forward neural network, right? So for your convenience, I'll just draw it again. Feed forward neural network which we have drawn yesterday. So friends, neural network will look like this. So I can have, depending upon the number of inputs, the input neurons will be decided. So here we use the word neural network. We use the
Sir,
word.
screen not visible, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have not yet shared. I'm just sharing my screen. Right. So now it is fine, right? Right. Now my screen is visible, right? So friends, depending upon the number of inputs, right, you have these neurons. Friends, we use the word neural network. We use the word neural network, but actually we are not really using neurons, right? Neuron with a weight is perceptron. You know very well, right? So the component used is not really a neuron, rather it is a perceptron, right? Neurons do not have weights, whereas perceptrons allow weights, right? So you know that very well. So even though we use the word neural network, right, but technically the component used is not a neuron, rather it is a perceptron. So depending upon the number of inputs, suppose if you have 4 inputs, you are going to have 4 input perceptrons, right? Now how many outputs I will have, again it depends on the number of output classes, right? For example, for example, I am dealing with a discrete valued, what we say, data set whose output is a discrete valued output. Like for example, based on certain inputs, I am supposed to predict whether a person may get admission into a IIT or an NIT, or maybe in universities or private autonomous institutions or private affiliated colleges. So depending upon the number of classes, output classes, my output neurons or output units will be there. So for example, if I may get two different types of outputs, then I will draw 2 output units here, right? If it is only one, then one is enough, right? Now friends, between these inputs and outputs you can have hidden layers. You can have hidden layers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one is a hidden layer, friends. This is called as hidden layer. I can have any number of hidden layers. So one input layer, one hidden layer. Total, this is called as a two-layer neural network. Total, it is called as a two-layer neural network. So from input x1, right, it will go to the first neuron, right? All are connected. It's a n by n network kind of thing. So observe this carefully. We will discuss in detail about this neural network, right? Fine. Now friends, let us assume I have three inputs, x1, x2, x3, and this is my bias, right? Theta, or you can say, you call this one as theta, or you can say x naught. Fine. So this is nothing but bias, initial bias. So in any neural network, obviously we will have a bias. So at this level, right, I have x1, x2, x3, x0, and they are all being passed to every neuron. Now these are the weights: w1, then w2, then w3, w0. x1, x0 also needs a weight, which is w0. Now friends, can you tell what is the output of this hidden layer, right, of every neuron? What is the output of this hidden layer? It is like our normal perceptron. It is like our normal perceptron only. So the output should be something like this, right? X, we are going to multiply these inputs and weights, xi, wi, right? Summation. Plus we will add the weight, means bias. So it will look like this. This output of each layer will look like this. This is the output at this layer. Now friends, if you observe, if you recollect, perceptrons produce a linear output. They are all linear functions. Now if you remember, I told you in the last class that we are interested in introducing some non-linearity. So what we will do is, to this hidden layer, now our hidden layer, right, it will look like this. Let me just add something to it. This is my hidden layer. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to show to you that this hidden layer has got two parts. So friends, if you observe carefully, this unit of hidden layer, each unit of hidden layer has two parts. Now this this first part is our, what we say, sigma. Whatever summation we have done, it is generally called as aggregation. It is called as aggregation. Please observe carefully, right? These concepts you will not understand easily if you try to go through the textbook or any other videos, right? So whatever content we are discussing it by referring to multiple textbooks as well as multiple other resources, right? So aggregation, this first part is nothing but our normal perceptrons output, sigma of xi wi plus b. So friends, what is happening here is this normal this hidden layer, it is going to generate what it is going to generate. It is going to generate a normal linear output. Now this linear output will be given, this linear output will be given to the next part of it. See here, this part, now let me color this blue one. So this blue one is used to add non-linearity to our linear output. So whatever aggregation is done, on that aggregated output, we will apply a non-linear function, so that we can introduce non-linearity in our output. So friends, this blue part, this one is for adding non-linearity. So how do we add non-linearity to our output? Our output at this layer is a linear output, right? Which is a normal perceptrons output, which we know very well. How do we add non-linearity to this output? By using these functions, either sigmoid function, ReLU function, tanh function, like that. So maybe let me write it as sigmoid. So sigmoid is one function which will add non-linearity, to the output. So sigmoid is a non function which is used to add non-linearity to your linear output. And these functions which are used to add non-linearity, they are called as activation functions. This is an important word, my dear friends. Activation functions, right? Activation functions. This is an important terminology. So what is an activation function? Activation function is a function used to add non-linearity to a linear output. Some of the examples are sigmoid, ReLU, tanh. So that is what is an activation function. So we will try to understand sigmoid activation function today. And now what will happen is, let me erase this and I'll show you in detail. Now whatever output is there, suppose this is my output unit, whatever output I get from this one will be given to my output unit, So friends, this is just a 2-layer neural network. In fact, I can have one more hidden layer like this. I can have any number of hidden layers. More number of hidden layers, then the network is called as deep neural network. So this is a normal neural network. If I increase more number of hidden layers, like 4, 5, 6, then I can use the word deep neural network. So this is my output. So again, in the output also there are two parts, my dear friends. There are two parts. So this part is again a normal. This part is again a normal linear. So even though the output generated here is a non-linear output, what will happen is this output, again there will be weights concept. So again there are weights at every level. So there is a weight at this level for every input, weight like that. So what will happen, whatever output is generated here, that output will be again multiplied with weights. Then again what is happening is, whatever happened in this layer, similar kind of linear output is generated at this output layer also. So which is nothing but again aggregation part. So what we will do is, now once I get this aggregate output, again I should add non-linearity to it. Further, what we will do is, again we need to apply some non-linear function. some function to add non-linearity. So friends, if you observe, I am using a separate color called as green color to represent the final non-linear function. The activation function used in the last layer is shown with green color. The activation function used in the hidden layer is shown with blue color. So what do you understand by this one? Activation function used in the hidden layer is different. Activation function used in the output layer, final output layer, will be different. This is an important observation. So the activation function used here in the final output layer will be different, and it will be selected based on the type of problem you are solving. So based on the type of the problem, the final activation function will be selected. So the output layer's activation function will be different. Suppose if I have used a sigmoid function in the hidden layer, it doesn't mean that I will use a sigmoid function in my final output layer. I can use a different function also. So it depends on what type of problem I am solving. So final output function can be different. Final output function which is used in the final layer, output layer, it can be different, right? There is one function called as softmax, right? Like that, there are some other options. So if you observe, based on the type of problem which you are solving, you will be selecting the appropriate activation function at the output layer. So this is what this kind of network is called as feed forward neural network. Feed forward, name itself says, my dear friends, feed forward. You are feeding the inputs, and you are forward, you are not only feeding the inputs, you are feeding the inputs and also weights, and you are moving forward. So inputs and weights are applied, I got some result, that result is given to the next layer. In this layer I get some output, it is passed to the next layer. So from layer 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, I am moving, I am feeding my inputs, I am feeding my weights in one direction, that is from 1 to n, means in the forward direction. In the forward direction, in the forward direction, I am feeding my inputs and weights. That's the reason this is called as feed forward neural network. Feed forward neural network. Then what do you mean by back propagation? Back propagation means in this output layer, at the final output layer, you can calculate the error. You can calculate the error, right? So if there is an error, friends, error, fine. So if there is an error, what we will do? We have to minimize the error, right? In order to minimize the error, what we will do? We have to make some changes in the weights. How do we make changes in the weights? So what I will do? I will calculate error at this layer, and I'll come in the backward direction, right? And I'll try to update the weights here. In the process of updating weights, again we will use the concept of gradient descent, right? So back propagation means we will propagate the error in the backward direction and make changes in the weights. Then again we will run the neural network, we will see what is the latest error. If the error is minimized, again we will propagate, we will send that error back in the reverse direction, and we will update the weights again. We will update the weights again and again, and this process continues till we find the error to be very minimum, or error to be zero. So till it reaches convergence, we continue to back propagate the errors, and we continue to update the weights. That's the reason the algorithm is called as back propagation. Back propagation. Till this point, is it clear to everyone? Please let me know. Please let me know till this point, is it clear to everyone? Where do we update weights? If you remember the gradient descent program, So what we have done, we have seen the error, right? We have computed the cost function. Accordingly, we updated the weights. So what we have done, we have added a delta, gradient descent. We calculated the delta part, which is a partial derivative, and we updated the weight. Similar kind of a weight updation is done at every layer. At every layer, weights will be updated. Suppose if I have a 3-layer network, suppose if the network is like this is my input layer, this is. So what we will do, at 3 levels we will have weights. So we will update the weights at all 3 layers. So when I get the error, I will update the weights here, I will update the weights here, I will update the weights here. All weights at all layers will be updated. How it will be updated, that is gradient descent. Again we will see that a weight updation rule also. So weights will be updated at every layer, and now again I'll run the neural network. I'll get some error, maybe some less than that previous one, right? We update the weights in hidden layers. Yeah, of course, not just hidden layers, even in input layer, even in the input layer, right? Even in the input layer, the weights, initial weights have to be updated, right? So that we will see now. Right, so the neural network which we have seen just now is called as feed forward neural network. Now friends, if you observe this, this is our textbook. This is bought from our textbook only. Multi-layer network of sigmoid unit, right? So here he is talking about sigmoid function. Now why sigmoid function, or what is the need for sigmoid unit is, see here. Yeah, please observe this carefully. This is a neural network. This is a neural network. Obviously it looks very complex, but you can imagine the neural network which we have drawn, right? We had one input layer, we had hidden layer, and an output layer. Now look at this graph on the right hand side. See here, right? It was not like the graph which we have seen in our OR function and function. We had only two types of data points. If you recollect, or if you remember, OR function and AND function, we had only two types of data points. One was representing output 0, one was representing output 1. And in OR function and AND function, we were able to draw a line which can linearly separate the outputs, right? That is one example. Second example, XOR function we have seen. Even in XOR function also, we had only two types of outputs. One is 0, another one is 1, right? The output can be 0 or output can be 1. But in XOR function, we were unable to represent it with a single perceptron. We were unable to draw a linearly separable line for XOR function, right? So that was the case where we have seen only two types of outputs, either 0 or 1, either going for playing tennis or not, either going for water sport or not. Like that, only two possible outputs were there in our previous discussion, right? But in real time applications, in most of the real time cases, there is no guarantee like every time you deal with only two possible outputs, right? Especially in regression models it is possible. So apart from regression, in many real time applications, you may come across multiple outputs. For example, if you see this diagram, the possible outputs are, see here, head, HID, HOD, HAD, right? HAWED, heard, heed, hood, right? Different words. Actually this is a speech recognition application, right? The audio signals are input to the network, and the network is supposed to predict the word, and the possible predictions are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 different possible words that can come, and my input is audio signal with two different frequencies, F1 and F2. So by looking at these two audio signals, I need to predict what is the word. So this is a speech recognition application, my dear friends. It's a speech recognition application. So someone is speaking something, we need to read that, we need to take that audio as input, and from that audio we are trying to reconstruct, the particular word, right? So this you might have seen in movies also, especially like when you see some movies, like maybe some Hindi movie you want to see, and you will see some captions coming in English, right? You see some captions coming in English, and even in YouTube videos, generally, if you watch some cricket videos, old cricket videos, people try to show you the commentary, right? Our commentary will come on the screen, right? So look at some YouTube videos, you will find that. And if you look at that commentary, you will see lot of mistakes in it, lot of mistakes. That is because it is not manually done. A computer, a deep learning model is running in the background. So whatever audio is coming from that audio, it is trying to convert it into a text, and that text will be displayed on the screen. So obviously these machine learning models are not really accurate, but of course they can be trained well, and over a period of time they will really become accurate, no doubt in that. But initially there will be errors, right? And in YouTube is a best example. Watch some old cricket videos in YouTube, you will see the commentary which is converted into text, and that text will be displayed on the screen, and you will see a lot of mistakes in it, right? So this is an example of a speech recognition. So see here how many different types of output we have. This 10 types of outputs we have. Now in these 10 types of outputs, can I draw a single line? No way, it's not possible. So I need non-linearity in my output. So please try to understand the need for non-linearity. So we have to, of course, our neural networks, they are aggregate functions. They are products of weights and inputs and summated together along with the bias. But what we need is, we need to add some non-linearity to our output. So friends, sigmoid is one of the commonly used non-linear function. Only sigmoid function itself can become a question in your exam, whether it is mid exam or what we say external exam. Sigmoid function alone can become a part A question. So let us see the sigmoid function now, right? So if you observe carefully, till this point we know everything. Till this point we know everything. This is our normal perceptron, right? This is our normal perceptron. X1, X2, X3, we have inputs. W1, W2, Wn, we have weights. X0 is the bias. You know very well, X0 is the bias. Now, what is a neuron? Neuron will perform a summation, right? Sigma of I equal to 0 to n. Why 0? Because I am considering bias also. Wi into xi, Wi into xi. This is what is a normal perceptron's output. Now, what is sigmoid function? See, the diagram itself shows very clearly. The diagram itself shows very clearly. Sigmoid function, it will convert your linear straight line into non-linear, means something like this. See here. So that's the reason the symbol itself shows you very clearly what is the purpose of a sigmoid function. So what this sigmoid function does is, whatever output I am getting out of the perceptron, see here, this output we get at every layer. In our hidden layers, on every node we will get this output. So this is the output of a perceptron, right? So in the hidden layer, on every node we will get this kind of output. So let me call this one as net output. Now what we are doing, we are applying a sigmoid function on the net output. What is sigmoid function? 1 by, see, this is the sigmoid function, my dear friends. 1 by 1 plus e power 1 by 1 plus e power minus net. So what is net? Net is my output of perceptron. So I will put this output in a function called as 1 by 1 plus e power minus net. So when I apply this, on my output, then this is called as sigmoid function, and it is represented with this symbol. So this is sigmoid function. So it brings non-linearity to my output. So this is the formula for sigmoid functions, my dear friends. Sigmoid of x is 1 by 1 plus e power minus x, right? So nice property. How exactly this is represented? Derivative of sigmoid, derivative of derivative of x by dx by dx is equal to sigmoid of x into 1 minus sigmoid x, right? We can derive gradient descent rules to train our sigmoid unit. So whatever output I am getting after applying sigmoid function, on that I can also generate, or I can also apply gradient descent rules. Gradient descent, of course, here there's s should come here. Gradient descent, des, s should come here. So we will apply gradient descent rules to train our sigmoid unit also, right? So friends, multi-layer network of sigmoid units and back propagation. This is what we have discussed now, right? Now this is how they are applying the gradient descent rules in order to update the weights. So what is this TD minus OD? What is this TD minus OD? Can anybody tell what is TD and OD? Can you respond? Difference TD minus OD. TD minus OD. What is TD minus OD? When we have applied gradient descent, we have implemented it also. We have seen, right, an important function called as cost function or loss function. What we have done in that loss function, on our training data, we know the expected output also, because training data's results are with us. So training data's expected output and what actually was generated, if there is a difference, then it is error. So TD minus OD is nothing but, yes, original value, expected value, great. So TD minus OD is nothing but original value and expected value, right? And why I got this 1 by 2 square? This is a formula. This we know very well. Mean square error. Mean square error formula we have applied when we were studying gradient descent. So we have applied this mean square error. So error MSC. What is the formula for MSC? This is the formula for MSC. So this is mean square error. Whatever I have selected, no, that part is the mean square error. Now what is this dou by dou wy? This is nothing but partial derivative of this error, right? Error is represented by this formula. When I take derivative of the error, when I take a partial derivative, I call it as the gradient, right? So when I take the derivative, it is nothing but the gradient of the error, right? So but we know very well we are doing it on a sigmoid function now, so our focus will be on this part. So what was the output of one sigmoid neuron? One sigmoid neuron, or output of our perceptron, was net D, right? To make this formula look simple, we have written net. So what is this net? We know very well. So this is net, right? See here, net. Output of perceptron is, entire output of perceptron is simply represented using a word net. Now what we are doing, Now what we are doing, see here. On this net, first I am applying sigmoid function. So first I am applying sigmoid function. So what I get non-linearity. So on the output of sigmoid function, so this part is sigmoid function. So on this output, after apply this, net D is my normal output of perceptron. Sigma symbol means I have applied sigmoid function on net D. Sigmoid function is nothing but 1 by 1 plus e power. This is sigmoid function, 1 by 1 plus e power minus net. So when I apply this on my NET, what I'll get is a sigmoid function. So this is my sigmoid function, right? So on this sigmoid function output, right? Sigmoid function's output is the final output of the perceptron. Now on this sigmoid function, I am taking the derivative. Now when I take derivative, I need to see what is there in this output function. So there are two things, derivative with respect to weight. If you remember gradient descent concept, we have seen derivatives, we have seen partial derivatives concept, right? Let me tell you once again. Suppose if I have two variables w comma b in my output function, and if I want to calculate the gradient will be partial derivative with respect to w, partial derivative with respect to b. So like that, in my output function, if I have 5 variables, then I will get the gradient. Gradient is a vector with 5 variables. If there are only 2 variables, gradient is a vector with 2 partial derivatives. 3 variables, I'll get 3 partial derivatives. So what is gradient? Gradient is nothing but a vector. Vector is nothing but an array kind of thing. So vector of partial derivatives. So what is the partial derivative of sigmoid function which is applied on the net? That partial derivative is calculated here. So net D is equal to this particular equation, which is OD of 1 minus OD, right? Which is expected of our error function, right? Now what we are doing, see here, we are trying to calculate partial derivatives with respect to all parameters. Means if I have W and bias and weight, suppose I have W1, W2, let us say weight which is W0, bias which is W0. So if I have 3 parameters involved in my equation, my gradient will also have 3 values, which is partial derivative with respect to W1, partial derivative with respect to W2, partial derivative with respect to W3. So like that, we will find the gradient. And what we will do in gradient is, when in back propagation algorithm, see here, initialize all weights to small random numbers until satisfied, right? Initialize all weights with to small numbers, full stop. So that is first step. Until satisfied, do this. What do you mean by until satisfied? When I will be satisfied? Please tell me when I will be satisfied. What do you mean by until satisfied? Until satisfied, or when I will be satisfied? Minimum errors. Great. Error is 0. Yeah, we actually try for 0 error, which is called as convergence. No error. Great. No error or error is 0. We tried for convergence. We may not get convergence, but close to 0. When we reach, as long as we reach, and what we will do is, when we reach to a point, at certain point, further the cost will not be reduced. I may not get 0, but at one point I'll get error as a cost as 0.012, and in the next iteration also 0.012, means it is not further reducing. So until I get the least possible cost, I will continue the process until I'll get, so when I will be satisfied, when I'll get the least possible cost. So for example, for each training example, what I'll do is do repeat. Do means repeat. For each training example, input the training example to the network, means input the training example to the network and compute the network weights. Right? So it will look like this, my dear friends. I'll draw it here. For example, I have two inputs. So this is my input layer. This is hidden layer. And this is my output layer, for example. So these are my inputs. Right? And this is output, something like this. Right? So input the training example to the network and compute the network output. So what will happen, for example, if my inputs are x1 and x2, then what I will do, I have to take another input called as bias, you know that, and I will initialize the weights randomly. So initialize all weights to small random numbers. Then I will apply all these inputs and weights. I'll compute the sigma part, and I will also apply sigmoid function to get non-linearity. So this will go to the next level. In the next level, the input outputs generated at next level will be passed to final output layer. On the final output layer also, I will apply some activation function, sigmoid function kind of thing, and I'll get my final output. So what I will do is, for my final output, I'll see what is the error, what is the final output. For example, out of 9 cases, this fellow was going to play the water sport, right? So water playing tennis example, out of 14 cases, 9 times he was going to play the tennis game. Suppose in my neural network, out of 9 cases, let us say, it was telling, my neural network was telling only 4 times he was going to play tennis. In remaining 5 times, actually he should supposed to go to play tennis, but my network says he is not going to play tennis. So means 5 errors are there. So like that, friends, what we will do is, we will first apply inputs to the training exam. We will take the training example data, we will apply to our neural network and compute the network outputs. For each output unit k, for each output unit k, what do you mean by each output unit k? There can be multiple output units also. There can be multiple output units also. In my example, I have shown you only one output unit, only one circle was there in the output unit, one node was there, but there can be multiple output units. So on each output unit, what I am supposed to do, see here, I need to calculate, right, this value ok of 1 minus ok into tk minus ok. This tk minus ok is nothing but difference between our expected value and actual generated value, right? And for each hidden unit, see, this is how the weights are being modified. For each hidden unit, what I will do is, output at the hidden layer 1 minus oh, means from the previous one, right, from the previous output layer. See, this is what we are doing, wh into k into delta k. So this delta k, whatever I am calculating at the output layer, I am trying to propagate. This is back propagation, my dear friends. This is what is back propagation. In step 2, I am trying to find the error. In step 3, I am communicating the error back to my previous layer, right? And I am updating my weights using wij is equal to wij plus delta of wij. Now you know very well what is this delta. Delta is nothing but gradient. Now coming to gradient, how do I calculate gradient? Delta is equal to n into delta j of xij. So what is this n? Anybody can answer what is this n? What is this n? What is this n? What is this n? We have done it in gradient descent. N is nothing but the learning rate. How much stride I should take. That N is the learning rate, my dear friends. So, yeah, you have another class, so I'll wind it up now. Just wait for a minute. So n into this delta j into xij means I am multiplying this input with the delta j part. Delta j represent the cost functions output computed at layer 3, right? So that we are multiplying with a small learning rate to compute our new weight delta, which is added to the existing weight. So I get new set of weights, which I will apply again to the neural network. I will see what is the error, and this process continues until unless we get convergence. So this is what is back propagation algorithm. This algorithm you will get in your mid exam as well as in your external exam. Please observe this, you are going to get in your mid exam also, right? So of course you have another class, so you can leave now. Is it clear? Before leaving, please let me know how this back propagation algorithm is working, right? What is a feed forward neural network? Is it clear to everyone? Please let me know in the chat box. Yeah, then that's great. So you